Alright guys, I got another surprise for you. Have another TL. This one's actually a Type S, and let me show you the nightmare that is going on. So this customer bought a plug-and-play harness for an 0708. It should have worked. It didn't work, and I think we know why. So we got to figure out what the hell these people did and try to fix it. Look at this. So the navigation doesn't work. The radio isn't coming on. God knows what this is, and it looks like there's some wiring here for something. All right, so someone put 2 aftermarket amps in here. I'll show them to you in a second, but this is what we have for our factory amp. They did some wire meshing. We'll figure out what happened. Here's really our big problem. So let me get that to focus up. Here's that standard 20 pin. This doesn't look touched, but as you can see, our 40 pin looks completely destroyed. So we have to figure out what wires they messed with and what they did. There's really no room here to work, so I'm gonna take this trim panel out, drop this, and that'll free me up here, and I can yank the harness this way and see what's wrong with it and really fix it. Then let me show you the amps. So this has a 4-channel amp hidden back here. Look at those speaker wires. This is such a mess. And then we have another amp hidden underneath that seat. I'll show it to you. This one's pretty hidden, but you can see there it is. So we have to figure out how these are wired up. Then the other scary thing, guys, is, let me show you. So we have our power wire, right? And you can see there's also some other sort of power wire in here that they had and ran, and God knows where it goes to now, but it's in there with those, so they just capped it off. But I'm gonna let you guys determine what I'm worried about. I'll give you a second to think about it. Look at this power wire and just take a second to think what I'm thinking. There's no fuse cutoff anywhere here, so I have no idea. Hopefully it's in a car somewhere. We're gonna go look for it. Alright guys, I'm gonna get started taking all this further apart and fixing what I need to fix, and I'll show you guys some of the key steps. We are thinking about just leaving the factory amp if we can get it working again. If not, we'll use the 4-channel and the 1-channel. It's kind of a little silly, 2 amps in one car. There's 5-channel amps I could do the same. I brought a 5-channel amp with me. I'm willing to sell it to the customer. It's not necessarily old amp. It's an NVX 900.5, so it's a good amp. It has 900 watts RMS. It's more than what this car would need, but it's really up to him if he wants to buy it or not. I think we can get away with just using the factory amp and then 1 sub amp, and then getting rid of the 4-channel. I think that's going to be his best option right now until he really decides what he wants to do, but it's going to be really up to what's in the door. So the other thing I didn't show you guys is the doors might have aftermarket speakers in them, and if they do, they're probably going to be 4-ohm speakers, so then the factory amp's going to have trouble powering those 4 ohms because it's used to 2-ohm speakers. So if that turns out to be the case, we're going to use the 5-channel amp, because otherwise it's going to lose power and it's not going to sound as good. So right now what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to take this panel off, pull this harness back more, and get it situated so that I can work on the harness and fix it because it's a mess. Then we're going to test everything in the car, make sure it all works from the factory, like our navigation works, this all works and everything. And then we'll get started with you. As always, guys, make sure you like the video if you found some useful information or something maybe you didn't know, and put a comment down below what you think of this car and what you would have done different. Alright guys, check this mess of equalizers out. Jesus. Let's see if it's closer. Just got to unplug it. So now you're gonna take some wire, strip it on both ends. There you go. There you go. And line it here. And here you see there isn't enough wire. So we need to figure out how we're gonna get some out. Doesn't look like there's a way, so we're just gonna use what's there. Again, just gonna take it and twist it up. We're gonna do that. The reason why we're doing this is because the wire's been cut, so we need flexibility. So if we were just to hook these wires back up together, there'd be no flexibility in this harness, and like the wrong pull might cause damage again. So by adding extra wire, we're putting in a little bit of slack that this would need. And I'll show you an example of ones that were done the way that I'm saying without this method, and how they look like now. So these two right here were done without that method. So look how tight the harness is because of them. So we're going to just redo them so that the harness isn't as tight. And then there's one here also. So we're just going to redo them to give this some flexibility. You see there's like no wire here. We did the best with what we had, which was soldering and the little bit, oh, we're missing one. So let me show you what I've been doing. So I was gonna try to unpin this harness. In order to unpin it, I'd have to unpin every single pin. Obviously I can't do that. So what we've been doing is taking this, folding it, and then capping it off with that, and then hitting it with the torch. This isn't my ideal fix. Obviously, I'm sure you know that, but it's what we got right now. It's all we can use right now, and it works. It's gonna do what we needed to. The next thing is to just, you know, inspect, make sure we cut all the wires that were cut. I'm pretty sure we got all the wires that were cut. It's such a shame that they were cut in the way that they were, but I mean, that's just what some people do to these cars, you know. Lucky for us, we have an interface for this, and now we're just gonna test it all. But before we can test, we have to take a look at our next mess, which is right over there. And let me tell you about this one. This thing looks like a nightmare. It just is. But let me show you some more of this car and the nightmare that it has been. Here's my first amp. The power wire comes in from there. Remember, there's no inline fuse, and then it splits. I have no idea if that's just tape. I'm afraid to undo it. I assume it's just tape put together, and then it goes to our next amp. Yeah, we took the seats out. To take the seats out, it's 4 bolts. This one has the seatbelt attached to it, so you're gonna need to take that out. There's a cover on top of it. Show you that. So there's a little cover, there's a seat. It actually comes all the way out. Someone took this out and then never screwed it back in correctly, so when we took it out, it was easy. Here's the other side. Some more cut wire, I have no idea why. And then they were grounding to here, but here's a little amp. And then the power wires crossing over there, and there's again no distribution block, no inline fuse, just straight to the amps, which is crazy. Anyways, I gotta get the amp connections fixed. After we fixed that, I showed you guys how we fixed that. Now we gotta fix these amp connections. We wanna get everything back, to factory and working, so we can then make the decisions we wanna make. Do we wanna go with 5-channel amp? Do we want just a sub amp? We want the customer to hear what the car sounds like factory, and then we gotta pop these door panels off and see what kind of speakers are in here. I'm pretty sure these are gonna be the factory speakers, but you know, with everything that this car has gone through, I wouldn't be surprised if they're not. All right, guys, so let's have a little heart-to-heart. Please, please, don't ever do this to your car. If you're going to install another amp. Don't use random wire that you're gonna have no idea which one's positive, which one's negative. Don't do that. Use speed wire or multi-conductor wire, which is one strand of wire, probably this thick, and then it has other conductors inside of it. So it has 9 different colored wires. 8 of those are used for your speakers. So you have, each speaker needs 2 wires, and then 1 is used for your remote. Use that instead of whatever the fuck this is. Also, so you guys can suffer with me, all these wires were cut and they were not even soldered. Now, if you want to interface with this, you can. There's different ways. My recommended way is unpin this guy. It has tabs right there. Unpin it. Take the tabs out and interface with the tabs. There's different connectors. You don't have to cut wires. You could just unpin this, and then whenever you want to go back, you could repin it. I'm sure you can find connectors that are going to work with this. This is the output to the speakers. They must have messed up and thought this was the output to the speakers, and instead cut all these wires thinking these were the speakers, but they weren't it. So again, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna do an aftermarket app. We're gonna put a 5-channel in here eventually. Today we're just gonna keep the sub amp. You don't need to do this. You can unpin these, interface with these directly instead of cutting all these wires. If you're gonna cut all these wires because you're gonna put an aftermarket in here and it's gonna stay for the life of the car till the car is in the graveyard, you can cut these, but just solder them to the new connection and cut them like, I guess, kind of like they did, with enough slack so you can put them back together. I'm gonna resolder all these wires, and then we're gonna plug the factory amp in and hope that everything works the right way, and then we will decide how we're gonna work with these amps. All right guys, here's the first set of plugs fixed, ready to go. Now we have to fix these guys. Yeah, that's what's next. But all right, I'm gonna get to that and then I'll get back to you guys, show you how it's done. All I'm doing is I am stripping them, putting wire, shrink wrap here, then stripping them all, then putting them together, then soldering them, and then shrink wrapping it and finishing it. It's almost done. It's looking good. These didn't come out so bad. And then we'll tape them up with some Tessa tape, and then it'll look like someone was never even here, hopefully. Look like a creep. All right guys, so we're back with the TL that had all the wires cut. Remember, all these wires were cut. So that, I'm gonna tell you a little story quick. That was ready. We wired it all up. We put the factory amp back in. We thought we were gonna be good. Turns out the reason why they did all this is because this factory amp was bad. So I guess they didn't think they can get a replacement, or maybe they went to the dealer and the dealer was like, oh, it's gonna be $800. So then they're like, oh, screw that, I'm gonna do my own thing. But you can buy these. You can find them on eBay. 60, 80 bucks, 100 bucks, depending, what year, what make. But these are universal across all TLs. Just the 07 and 08s sound a little better, but the plugs are all the same. So if you can find another amp, if yours is blown, just replace it. It's 1 screw up there that hooks, and then 2 right here. So we went and replaced this one. We put all the wires, we put some Tessa tape over the wiring. We've tested everything now. Everything sounds great. The subs sound good. So now it's just time to put this all back together. And one of the things we have to do before we put it back together is the lights for the climate control and navigation don't work. So you can order these bulbs online and you can replace these lights, or you can replace the unit. It's really up to you what you want to do. But we bought the bulbs. So we're going to be replacing this, guys, and then we're just going to put everything back together. As you can see, everything's still a mess. Then we have a parking bypass to install and the steering wheel control buttons to map and stuff. So there's still a little bit of this install left. I'm going to walk you through the steps now. I just wanted to give you an update on where we were with this car. All right guys, so I'm going to show you how to do the bypass. If I could open it. So it does come with instructions on the back on how to wire this up, but I'll show you how you do it. So it has 3 wires. Black is ground, blue is for the remote, and green is for your parking brake. And ultimately what this is going to do is a little circuitry inside of here. It's going to pulse twice and tell the radio that the parking brake is engaged when it's not. And what I mean by pulse twice, it says double pulse on here, and the circuitry is just going to send a signal, turn it off, and then send the signal again. So to do this, this is our plug and play harness for an 07. We tap the remote wire for subs. That's the only difference from the one you will have. So here's our ground wire, it's black. Here's our remote wire, it's blue. And the parking brake wire is green, just like on here, and they all match up. So it's just color matching at this point. Take it, wrap it around like so. And we're gonna solder this, but if you don't have the ability to solder where you are, you can just tape it up and it's gonna be fine. It's not gonna move a ton in the vehicle. So we are again green to green, our black to black, and our blue to blue, and we're going to solder it and tape it up so it looks a little nicer. Wouldn't be New York without some snow, but finally finished this thing. Let me show you what it looks like. DVD disc read error. If you get this error, check your CD drive, check the CD, sure it's not scratched, try to fix the scratches. If you can't, you're gonna have to replace it. This is only for the navigation though, so like if you were using a factory radio, you could still get to the audio options. Alright guys, so here it is, MVH 210EX. This is a Type S. Put everything back together, and then let me show you the radio. So, and then our steering wheel controls, and you know, changing through your presets. But yeah guys, this radio is real simple. It just has radio. You can connect a USB, you have Bluetooth audio, you have aux, and then you have your camera view. We did the bypass, so the bypass allows you to come into here and access some other options that might have not been possible before. And then our microphone put right here. That seems to be the best spot, just because you naturally talk forward. So putting it somewhere else, maybe up here, looks kind of, you know, non-factory. So over there is hidden, you don't really think about it. And then for the bass knob and the USB for this radio, we actually ran it to under here. So here's our bass, here's our USB, and then our bass knob. And then let me show you the stubs in the back. Alright guys, so that was the TL. Actually, it's still here. It's just about to leave. I had to do it outside because the garage is full with 2 cars I was working on. I'm actually going to junk this one, and that one I need to finish. But anyways, what I wanted to say is, if you have a Type S, if you have a regular TL, 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, we definitely can help. Look at our store. We have complete kits. So everything you'll need. I'm starting to do kits with radios now. So if you need a radio, you know, something like something like this. This is a Pioneer FH S500 BT. So Bluetooth, Pandora controls, very basic radio, kind of everything that the one that's in your car does. Not this model though. This model doesn't have the 6 RCAs or Sirius XM, but the next model up, the one that I will be offering, this is almost what it's gonna look like though. So it'd be something like this, it'd be something like that. The dash kit, so you know all the trim pieces, and then your steering wheel control module, and then a harness, all together. And you could just, you know, real easy. You buy it and you install it. There's a video on how to do it and everything. If you have a Type S, same thing. If you have 07, 08, again, we have everything for any year TL, anything that you need. Just check out our store. If you need information, feel free to reach out to me. Help you with the install over the phone. And then there's a ton of information on our website about replacing the amps, replacing these factory speakers, all that stuff. A couple things to note about that TL. It was messed up. So that TL, they cut the speaker wires. I'm sorry, they cut all the wires to the amp and then reran their own amp, and just, it was terrible. It was terrible. I'm sure you saw the video. I'm sure you agree with me right now. It just did not look good. So we put a factory amp. We switched the amp out. The other amp was bad, and then did a sub amp in the subs, and then the steering wheel controls, and then MVH 210EX. So overall, decent build. It's definitely going to improve your sound quality, give you newer features that you're looking for. And then he has to fix that navigation. He needs a new CD or a new navigation unit, but he's not too worried about it. He said that's fine. But yeah, guys, if you enjoy the content and you learn something, make sure you give the video a like. Make sure you subscribe. Have more TL videos coming. This is just one of a bunch of others that are going on. I have a surprise on a new TL radio that most of you probably haven't seen. And I have some projects I'm working on. That's all I'll say. So yeah, guys, stay tuned till next time. Again, thanks for watching. Subscribe, give the video a like. See you next time.